At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
We're gonna go live now. Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are live on Facebook already, and we just logged in now. We have 8 people already who have tuned in because they really want to see what's going on. Even me, I'm here. I just want to see what's going on. I want to hear what's going on. Oh, somebody said there's no sound. No sound? Okay, let me see.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, yeah, there is sound now. There is sound. Okay, there's sound now.
Are you up as just Lydia or your are you on your page or on your
Yes.
on your page?
Yes, I know somebody said they can hear us, so we are fine. We are fine.
Right.
Somebody's still saying no sound.
Oh.
Someone say we can hear you. Guys, can you hear us? I thought they sound already. Somebody's saying they can't hear us. Someone is saying they can hear us. So I'm really confused right now. But okay. I think they can hear us. Okay, yes. Okay, good. Yeah, she said good now, so we're good to go.
Okay.
So wow. So thank you very much for joining us today, Angela. You know what? Because of the what is going through right now with our teenagers, our youth, there's so much going on. And that is why this topic to me is very personal. And the fact that we are all parents, we're 80% of us are parents. Even if you don't have biological children, you're still a parent because sometimes you're an auntie, you're an uncle, you're a guardian, you're still a parent. So I think a lot of us, I would say even 100% of us are parents, because even if you're still looking after even if you're a teacher, you're a parent, because when you have that child in school, you're looking after that child. So I think all the things we are talking about today is things that relate to every single person, because whether they're at school or they're home or wherever, they are looking after a child and they are a parent at that time. So I am so humbled, really, really humbled and honored to have you on my platform today, because I know that you're a psychologist, you're a researcher, you're an educator and parenting teenagers expert. Teenagers, do you know how hard it is to deal with teenagers? And for us to have an expert who is actually going to tell us and actually direct us to the right path, because right now I'm talking to you, Angela, there is so much, whether it's suicide, whether it's our teenagers out there killing themselves, whether they're on drugs, there's so many teenagers doing things that they're really not supposed to do. And I'm thinking, is it because of their upbringing? Is it us as parents? I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I can't even say I know because I'm not an expert and I don't know. So I'm so happy to be here with you today. So, but before we start, I would just like you to introduce yourself more. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, and when you're introducing yourself as well, I want you to tell me or tell us what actually drove you. What was the initiative? What drove you to start working with teenagers? Because trust me, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard.
I'm so humbled by you inviting me to come here, and I am so grateful for this opportunity, and even for you having that forum for us to talk about issues that actually affect us. This is just a God-sent moment, and that's how I see it. I see it as a sacred moment. So, and I want to treat it as such. And what I can say is the reason I narrowed down to becoming a parenting teenagers expert, even when I was seeing my psychology, and for me, it's seeing the changes that are happening, especially in our teenagers' mind, and knowing this as a very opportune moment to turn things around. I want you to imagine that in teenage years, they have a sort of identity crisis, and that because they're trying to establish who they are trying to be independent, they're trying to break away from everything that we have taught them. So that is why they behave as they do. But let me go back to the reason I actually decided to focus on teenagers. I have worked with young people for a very long time in very different settings. I have worked in prisons, I have worked in the community, I worked with young people with special needs, I have worked with mainstream, and I have worked with very rich kids and also very poor kids. And there's one thing that is constant. A kid, deep within themselves, all they need is connection. And that's why, if you've heard me speak, I keep saying that the greatest present you can give your young person is your presence. Your presence, and that's the greatest present. So for me, when it comes to teenagers, I just thought this is a time where we can change the game. We can truly change the game for them, because they are at a point where they are understanding what's happening, but what they need is guidance and being guarded, right? What they want is models. What they want is mentors. What they want is motivators. The time, when they were younger, we tell them what to do and they did. We tell and yell. I mean, most parents tell and yell when they're younger and the kids jump. But the challenge comes when they decide to take ownership. And at that age of 12, from 12 and onwards, is when they're trying to tear away from us. Their independence, there's a lot of happening. Their faculty, if you know about the teenager's brain and our brain, we have a frontal lobe. That's where the executive functions happen. So at that age, that is when they are developing it. And that's why it's like, and there are so many things we'll talk about as we go, but that's just how I narrowed down to actually working with teenagers, because I think this is a very opportune time for us to change the game. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. That introduction was fab. It was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Well, now, because of what you've said as well, the kind of children you've worked with, I mean, you've worked with every sort of child. So you can't say, oh, somebody can't stand and say, yeah, but my child has special needs, you don't know how to deal with them, or my child is a very bad teenager, or my child is this. So you've dealt with every sort of teenager. So that is why I am, once again, I'll say I'm privileged to have you here, because then you're going to talk to all of us. You're not going to talk to only a certain class of parents. You're going to talk to all of us. So first, before we start, I know that because I work with teenagers as well, but not in your extent whatsoever. And I'm not actually qualified to talk to them, or I've not done psychology or anything. It's just that they see me as a cool auntie, an auntie that understands, an auntie that doesn't judge them. So that's why they talk to me.
That's do you know, Lydia, that's a special moment. That's a special point to be at. And that's what every parent and every person should admire and aspire to be. That point where the young person, where the young person comes and says that they want you to be their mom. Of course, you can't say, you can't take all the children home.
Yes,
To your
yes.
home, but they get to that point where they tell you things that they have never told someone. That is the point, and it's all about connection, and we'll talk about it. And I am sure the reason they do that with you is because you haven't got guards, you haven't got your guards up, you know?
Yeah.
Like you haven't built walls, yeah? So they see you as someone who is approachable, as someone who is accessible, and someone who understands. And your presence is not threatening to them. And they see you, and they see you as a person who is vulnerable. I am sure. You correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure you share with them stories about your life, stories about your family, stories about, and that is being vulnerable. When you are vulnerable with them, that is where your strength comes from. They see you as a human person. And when you connect at a human level, that's when magic happens.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that's why they come. They just say, oh, Auntie Lydia, that's a cool auntie, cool auntie. So they'll come and talk to me. And sometimes they tell me things and I don't know how to deal with them. So that's why I'm happy that you're here, because sometimes they tell me things and I'm like, okay, how do I deal with this? I can't tell their parents, but then how do I deal with it? I have to steer them in the right direction. Do you get? So it's kind of sometimes really difficult when they come to me and then I don't know what to do because I'm not an expert. It's just that I'm a cool auntie. That's all I know.
But that's what they need.
One thing that, a cool auntie. And one thing that I've realized talking to a lot of these teenagers, one thing I've realized is, and also talking to parents, it's parents, a lot of parents, sometimes when we're angry, they call their children negative names. So, and like, you see, like for me, and personally, I had to even go to a course because I did a course called I did a course with LL Ministries, and that's a very long time ago. I thank God it was a long time ago when I just had my first baby. And at that time, I still didn't know anything. But when I attended that course, and that's why I always encourage people, attend things. You cannot just sit home and say, oh, I'm not going to attend, or Lydia is doing something, or Angela is doing something, or Lisa, Nicholas, or Dr. Palm is doing something. I'm not attending. It's good to attend these things. Because if I did not attend that course, I wouldn't have known that calling children negative words is very, very bad, and it's powerful. Because when I had my child, when I had my first child and I didn't know anything, sometimes when she does something, I say, you're stupid. How can you do this? And I hear a lot of parents using those words. But when I went to this course and I learned, I came home, I apologized to my child. I'm sure she was looking at me thinking, huh? What is mommy saying? Because she was still very, very young. So she didn't realize. But calling our children negative words is very powerful. So I just want you to enlighten us more in that that topic first, calling children negative words or negative names.
Absolutely. The mere, the mere idea of calling your child a name, and whether you're joking or not, that is what it's dilapidating. It kills them. It may not be a physical death, but what happens is there is what we call, you have in your brain, in your teenager's brain. Let's speak about children, although we all have it, right? We have the neurons, and what happens is those words, they are constricting, and what they do is they go and they it's like they kill a part of the young person, right? So when you call and that is one thing. Another thing we have found, especially in research, when you criticize, when you talk bad to your children, their mind, it's like shuts up, it clams up, right? Because it's negative energy, because it's not helping development, it's actually killing, right? The other thing that happens is when the young person is feeling that, in that moment when they are feeling like they're being stabbed, right? When they're feeling like they've been stabbed, what happens is their clarity for that time and their creativity is broken. Yeah. So do you see how you are killing? You're actually killing. Let's even go. A lot of metaphysics books and a lot of religious books, they say words have power, and it's true. Because even in research, in science, we find that people who are continuously criticized, right? They clamor, right? I'll also tell you another reason why criticizing is or calling children names or calling teenagers names is very deadly, right? But before I say that, what we find is, can you believe even plants, when we did an experiment, and there was 3 plants, right? So there's this plant A, B, and C, right? And what you see is, and it was just, they put positive words towards one plant. The other one is what we call neutral, so nothing happened to it. The other one was negative words. Can you guess what happened?
Wow, plants, not even humans, plants.
Not even humans, plants. Do you
That
know
is
what
powerful.
happened? The plants that had negative words going to them, that you are beautiful, you are amazing, it bloomed. The next one, it just grew as normal because it was a neutral. That's what we call control. And then the third one, where there was negativity towards it, it died. And that's just plant, right? Of course, because of ethics, we can't do that with people. But what we know for sure, and when kids visit our places, and when we have sessions with kids, we know that kids who are constantly criticized, or kids whose parents or caregivers use negative words, are very subdued. Some of them are very subdued, and then when they grow up, they become teenagers, because they want their independence. They start using the same words towards other people. So they become aggressive. Yeah, they become aggressive. But then what happens with these kids, when we talk to them deep within, when they open up, you see that all that has happened is that someone was, what I call it, shredding and scathing someone's self-esteem. So that person is so wounded, they are so wounded, they cannot excel. And sometimes, especially, we might think, oh, the kid is doing well in school, so there's nothing. There's not. But the stories they tell themselves in their head are just crazy stories. Another thing I'll talk about, words. We use words are labels, right? And in psychology, we have the theory of labeling. What happens is, when you label someone, they take the shape of that label. And that's why.
Wow.
Yeah, when you label someone, they take the shape of that label. They take the shape of it, literally. And that's why sometimes you meet a kid, and I have met, for example, there is a kid I met, obviously we can't mention names or anything like that.
Yeah.
I met a kid in college who had failed his GCSE maths over and over and over again. And the first words I said to him is that I could see his potential, and I could see he's capable. I asked him, show me what you can do. And he said he can't do anything. So you know what we did? We started from basic. And from that basic, I said to him, I think you've got very good basic here. You can do this. You can do this. You can do that. And as I continued to work with him, reminding him what he's capable of, reminding him that he's capable, reminding him that there is, even when he got 1 out of 10, he got that one.
Yes.
Right? He got that one. And you know what? the GCSEs was happening in May, or I met the kid in about October. And I'm telling you, when they did the mocks, they thought I had, they thought I had told him the answers. And I said to them, I was even investigated. I said to them, I can't do that. It's unethical for me to do that, right? But the kid said to them, even he said to me, he had never met someone who told him that he could.
Oh.
Those are some of the stories, Lydia, that make me get up in the morning just to tell one person that they can. I'm telling you, kids stop me in the streets. They're like, miss, miss, and they're like, oh, remember this time, I passed, or all sorts of stories I hear also. Why? Because as parents, we need to give, what I say is, these children were given to us by life, by God. And our job is to continue the life, not to kill life. So everything you say, everything you do, ask yourself as a parent, am I a conduit of life, or am I a constrictor of life? Before you open your mouth, before you do something, ask yourself, am I propagating life, or am I killing life? So just ask yourself, constricting or conduit? And of course, we don't always get it right, because later on, we're going to talk about how maybe we were raised up, and sometimes we have paradigms, what we call paradigms, our thought processes that maybe was messed up when we grew up. And sometimes we just subconsciously, we bring up these things the same way that we were brought up. Like for example, calling kids names.
Yeah.
And someone will tell me, oh, don't do that. They told the kid, even, by the way, including teachers, because I challenge the language that we use. The teacher will say, oh, you didn't get that, you numpty. So when you call someone numpty, what happens? Yeah? The young person begins to believe, actually, I'm a numpty.
Yes.
And the teacher would say, I was joking. I was only joking. No, but these kids, when you call them names, it sinks into their subconscious mind, goes into their neurons, and that's what they believe. So we have to be very careful. Just take a moment before you say something, before you do something. Ask yourself, am I giving life, or am I killing life?
Exactly. And even words like, oh, you little devil, those things, I always, when somebody say that to me, because I know it's something, especially in this world that we're living in, right, in the UK, they like using those words when the child is, oh, you're so cute, a little devil. I'm like, no. Please, don't call that, don't say that to my child. My child is not a little devil. You can say little angel. And they look at you and think, oh, are you for real? But they don't understand that every word, and this I'm talking to all the parents, especially those ones that want to become parents, these little words, even Angela, like some parents now, like especially back home, they'll say, oh, you're stupid like your dad, you're this, and then they actually they're telling you indirect that your dad is actually stupid.
Absolutely.
So even as much as you're stupid, your dad is stupid. And then the dads will say, you're stupid like you're ugly like your mom. So it's always about, the children are always suffering. It's like we brought them here to suffer because the dad is abusing them, the mom is abusing them. And the child, like you say, it goes into their subconscious and it sinks in. And then I'm really surprised as well when you say that if you label the child, they take the shape of that label. That is powerful. That is powerful.
It's called that. If you want to go and Google it, even Google it, look for the theory of labeling and how the kids will rise or fall to our expectations. Yes.
Wow. That is, and to be honest, the one thing that a lot of parents have in common, a lot, is calling children names.
Yes.
It's yelling. And I know sometimes we get angry, but I always tell parents, and that course is the course that helped me. That's why I say, guys, attend courses. If you hear there's something, just go and listen. Yes, you might know everything, but there's only that one thing you don't know about, and you might hear it in that course that you attend. So I heard that if a child does something, you have to separate the child and the behavior.
Absolutely.
And this I learned, I didn't know. So
yes.
when a child behaves silly, you have to. So even my children used to laugh, and all the aunties or their friends that come to my house, they know that there is no child who is stupid. There's no child who is an idiot. It's the behavior. Your behavior is silly. Your behavior is stupid. And I don't even like using the word stupid because stupid is too strong for me. So I always say, why is your behavior silly? That is a very silly behavior. That is a silly behavior, silly, naughty behavior, stupid behavior. Is always the behavior. So
yes.
if you identify these two, separate them from the child. There's no child that is stupid. It's the behavior that they just is the behavior that is stupid.
The behavior is unacceptable. The child, the young person, the teenager is always acceptable. And I'm telling you, Lydia, I've just said to you that some of the kids, I'm talking kids who are in prison for like not very good crimes. I mean, not crime is good, but I'm talking what we call Section 92, which is, murder, rape, But I'm telling you, when you separate the behavior and the person, and you see the person and you see them for who they are, in the same way that they learned to do this bad, they can learn to do that good. And that is why we who are in those positions, whether you're a parent, an auntie, a teacher, even doctors, this is something we just have to keep saying to everyone. That moment, your contact with young person, it needs to be a contact where change can happen. And change can only happen when we see truly the human person that the young person is. This kid is taking drugs, right? And you're here. So separate the two. Have that conversation. And you will, when I have those conversations with these kids, they don't like to take, there are many reasons why they are taking drugs, right? But the person, the nature of human being is that we are self-preserving. And that means we want the best for ourselves, right? And we'll do whatever. So them taking these things that are not helping them, they know, but they don't know anything else that's going to make them feel calm. They don't know anything. That's why they do that, right? But if you separate that and then show them a different way, because if you know some of the laws of the universe is nature abhors a vacuum, right? So when you take that away, there must be that sort of thing. What is the option? Because the kid wants to feel good. We all want to feel good. So what is it? How is it? How is it that I can feel good? And that can be produced by helping them gain self-esteem so that they are not reliant on something to make them feel whole.
Better.
Yeah? So that is what we have to understand, and we have to realize that all these things can be done. But we must first connect with our young people. We must connect with the teenagers. We must connect even with the younger ones. Especially, like you said, when they're young, start from it. But I can assure you, when they get to teenage years, they start to question everything you've taught them. They refuse your religion.
Rebelliousness starts sinking in. But the good thing is, If there was a strong foundation, regardless of when they're teenagers or not, because and the reason why I do this as well is I can talk for my own children, because I laid a strong foundation from the beginning. And I thank God for the course that I attended, only when that is like 20 something years ago when I attended this course. And from there, whatever I learned that day, I never forgot it. I used it. And that is why I've brought 3 beautiful angels. And I always call them angels because they are so good. But they did not just become good. They became good because I used the wording, I used the principle, when I went to that course, everything I learned, I used it.
Absolutely.
And one thing, like I said, that we all have in common as parents is calling children negative names. Even saying, you're behaving like a donkey. You're behaving like, no, you're a donkey, you're a goat, you're this. Words are very, very powerful, parents. If you're out there, parents, and you're struggling with calling your children names, please stop. There's always time. It's never too late. It's never too late and say, oh, now mine are older. It's never too late. Apologize and start using good words, positive words, calling your children names. You know what happened one day, Angela? And before I say it, we have 25 people watching us. I'll say if all of you 25 people shared 111 or shared in each groups, we'll be helping a lot of parents. So guys, just share, please. Share and share and share. Help a lot of parents out there who actually need this, because a lot of parents need this. And if a lot of parents hear what we're saying and they take it on board, we will be saving a lot of children, a lot of teenagers out there. We're not saying we're perfect or anything, but we're just teaching what we know and what we have and what God has given us as well. Because in life, God gives everybody a coin. And our coin is this, to talk to the teenagers. So please, guys, share, share, share. I can see Shiro there. I can see Nancy. I can see Jane, Nalika, all the way from Jersey Island. Anthony, please, guys, share, 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 and share with other groups out there. And yeah, so this thing of talking about calling children names and calling children names, if you identify and separate it, you just need to apologize and move on. If you call your children positive names, you know, what I wanted to tell you was, my daughter, when she was 5, she was only 5 years old, and she used to go to a nursery school, and she came back one day and she said, Mommy, why am I dirty? She did not understand that she's black, and because her best friend was white. So she came and she said, Mommy, why am I like this? My skin is dirty and my friend's skin is white. So she thought in her mind, her friend is clean and she's dirty. And I was like, God, give me wisdom. I need wisdom to answer this. So I told her, the reason why you are the way you are is because you're a beautiful Black African princess.
Amen.
And beautiful Black African princesses are like you. And then she goes, so my friend is not a Black African. I said, no. She is beautiful, but not a Black princess. But you are a beautiful Black African princess. So from that day until today, now my daughter is 22 years. One day they even called me when she was now in secondary school. They said, is your daughter actually a princess? And then I said, why? Because when she was 5 years old, I told her that. And until she's now, she knew she's a princess. And every time before she left her house, I told her, who are you, sweetie? She said, I'm a beautiful Black African princess, because she started questioning her skin. And I had to come in and tell her that, no, sweetie, you are beautiful. And because I planted that in her mind, until today, she knows that. I never called her negative names. I never told her, because no. So we have to be very, very careful what the words we tell our children. Because like you said, words are very powerful.
Absolutely, extremely powerful. And like you said, Lydia, it's never too late. If you've done it, this is not a forum for us to ostracize people who have done it. This is a time that we can change, knowing that this is the moment we can change. And what I usually say to parents is that be vulnerable, go and apologize. Apologize and then make amends. Right? I usually tell them, just go ask your young person, where have I failed you? Right? Or even acknowledging yourself that I have failed in this. And there's no shame in falling. We all fall, right? And then apologize, and then make amends. And there's something that happens again when you apologize. Because you have humbled yourself, you have become a vulnerable, they see you as a human person. And again, that is where those relationships are built in a very, very magnificent way.
Yes.
So there shouldn't be any shame in asking, and again, seeking support, speaking to other people, so that we all know we're going through these things together. It's a common thing. And that's why I said to you earlier, if I mention some of the kids I've worked with, you'll be like, no, I can't believe that. But none of us, yeah, all of our teenagers are the same, because they are human. They're going through the same mental processes. And then it's even more challenging now, because the world has converged, right? They're singing the song. My kid here in Oxford is singing the song that the one in China and the one in America is singing. They're probably wearing the same things. They're almost even thinking about the same things. And the problems they're going through are about the same. So we need to know that all of us, anything can happen to any of us. And that's why it's good to talk.
Yeah.
It's really important to talk. If you're struggling with names that you've called, go and say, it's time to change. This is the time
to change.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you very much for that. We just go to what about trusting your children? Trusting your children, because I know sometimes they always say, oh, mom, you don't trust me. Oh, dad, you don't trust me. So where does this come in? Where does trusting your children come in, or doesn't come in? Can you just enlighten us with that as well? Please?
Right. Well, trust is a very important, I would say, element in any relationship. So think about yourself and your young person. For example, I have a daughter who is about 14 going to 15. And I look at it as a relationship, especially when they get to teenage years, or young adults. You're not caring for them. It almost become a peer-to-peer relationship. And that's what we need to think about. And trusting, this is what trusting does. When you trust your children, first of all, you're trusting in the power that created them. Remember, these children, they came to us, right? This is a life that has come to us, and it came from life itself. So when you trust them, you're trusting in the power that created them. And also you're giving them confidence. You're giving them confidence and enabling their self-esteem to be able to be everything that they're supposed to be, right? Think about yourself as a farmer, right? When you plant, you don't go in there and do everything. You don't go and modify everything inside of them and all that. There is a power that is growing the plants. And the same power, yeah, for me, how I like to symbolize it and how I like to see it is, there is a power that beats this girl's heart. There is a power that makes the blood flow all. So there is a wisdom. And this wisdom also can instruct her. I don't know, for those of us who read the Bible, there is a verse that says that I will instruct you in the ways that you should go, right? I will instruct you. And what's that? Who is that instructing? And who is being instructed? And there's also another verse that says, this power, God, is no respecter of persons. So the same way that you, Lydia, are being instructed is the same way that your 2-year-old is being instructed. Yeah? It's the same way that I'm being instructed. So we need to trust that they can, that there are many things that they know and there are many things that they can do. Of course, we also know that we need to guide and guard them because like water, imagine that's a powerful, they have so much power within them. But if it's not directed in a, maybe, you know, if it's not steered and directed, it'll probably flow everywhere, right? And our job is with wisdom to help and guide them and guide and guard, not to change who they're in, because the composition, trying to change the kid or the purpose, the everything that it's like trying to change water. Water is made of, is H2O, isn't it? So it's two hydrogens, is it H2O? Yeah, two hydrogens,
yes,
and one oxygen. So if you try and remove the O because it doesn't look good, or you think, oh, it doesn't suit here, it doesn't, you ruin the whole composition of it being water, right? But what we can do with our young people in terms of trust is allow them, especially when they're older, trust them, ask them. For example, if they say, I want to go for a dance, I want to go to dance and I'm coming back at 11. Listen in, ask, oh, that's interesting. You want to go dance? Who's there? You haven't been to dance before. You haven't been to that dance before. You haven't got a close friend that's going with you. And that's when you ask these open questions. How are you going to protect yourself when you're there? How are you going to guard yourself while you're there? How, you know, ask those questions and allow them to tell you. That's when you hear their thinking process. It could be because sometimes when they tell us things, they're not telling the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in them telling you that you unpick what is dangerous and what is not, and what is going to help them grow, because we need to allow them to be independent.
Exactly.
And independence comes by not being locked, but by learning. So
yeah, but the thing is,
yeah,
I'll just cut you. The thing is,
this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So you say to them, I don't think you've got enough experience to go to that dance because you've never even gone to a movie and come back at 8 o'clock. So and what I like to explain to teenagers when they scream that mom didn't let me go, I don't know what, I ask them, I tend to use Usain Bolt a lot, and I say to them, when was the first time Usain Bolt went to the Olympics? When did you first hear of him? And they're like, oh, it took years and years and years. Do you think the man just woke up one day and went for the Olympics? No, he had to have training and training and training. And that's what life is. In everything, it's training, it's training, it's training. And then you go for that. I'm allowing you to go for the party until midnight. And when they get it, and they see, actually, I haven't got the backbone to deal with that, right? For example, if they want to drink whatever, and they've never drunk anything, that's how they get drugged, because you can't just go and have 5 beers on your first. You
shots, taking shots, and you've never done it before.
Absolutely. So those are stories we need to, when you're talking about trust, when they say, even my one tells me, you don't trust me, and I say, that's not it. What I'm saying is, what about you start here, and then next time go there, then
or sometimes you can even use words like, I actually trust you. It's the people out there that I don't trust, because you I trust. It's the people out there that I don't trust. So it's the clubbing that you're going to that I don't trust the environment, or it's not personally you. But I have a question here. Someone said, and also I just want to tell our viewers, please, you can ask questions because this is a discussion forum, and we also have an expert here who is going to answer our questions as well. And we can also answer ourselves as well in the forum if anybody has a question. And like I say as well, share, and share. And we have a question here, discussing about your children or discussing about your kids with other people may not be a good idea. Some people are malicious and may start discussing you and your children negativity. So how do you answer that?
The thing is, we are supposed to, even when we discuss, right? You're not going out to tell, you're not trying to tear and wash your dirty linen into the public. What you're asking in your wisdom is, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? And how do I deal with this? And that's why it's very important to have a supportive and a safe group. Yeah, a supportive, a strong and safe, a safe person who you can ask these questions. And I always say, just talk. Whatever you do, make sure you talk. Don't keep it to yourself. And I can understand, because I remember a long time ago, my mom told me that she used to share some of the things that I did with someone, and then the person would like gossip or something. And it's not a nice thing when people are gossiping about your children. It's not nice, even when people are gossiping about you. So what you can do is join a safe group where you can ask these questions, where people are vulnerable, right? Even calling someone like Lydia, or even on message or something. We are parents who have teenagers, right? Look for a safe and supportive group or someone who you can say, you know what? I don't know how to deal with this. My kid went and they shoplifted. Yeah? And you're like, oh, no, let me tell you something. My one has shoplifted 2 times or 3 times. So what does that make you feel when someone is vulnerable with you? You begin to feel, actually, I'm not alone. I am not alone. So look for safe and supportive people to share these things. And just the thing is, don't keep it in yourself, because when you do that and you're not dealing with it, the kid continues to do it and you are getting frustrated. So here we have a kid who is going that way and you don't know how to deal with it. And then what happens? What happens? 2 things can happen. We end up having that kid in one of our prisons, right, for something, or we end up having that kid because you don't know how to deal with it. They have left home. They end up into our care system, right?
Because
yeah. Or, and that's the where else I was going. They end up going to someone who understands them, right? While if you had spoken to someone and they said to you, no, this is a very common thing with teenagers, right? It's a very common thing. This is how you deal with it, right? I always say connect before correcting. Connection before correcting. And it's is the person asking, let me just have a look, is the person asking how to deal with someone who's done something? Or
yeah, that one I'll come to that later, but it was just asking that, talking about people, and like you said, what I'll say to that as well, I understand, and that is what kills a lot of us. It's not just about the children, but it's about life in general, whether you're in domestic violence, whether you're here to talk about your problems outside. We always shy away because tomorrow, every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows your business. Okay. Yeah. So what I would advise people out there for parenting, for whatever you're going through, for like Angela just said, Find a supportive professional network. There are so many supportive professional network where they cannot talk about like what Angela does. She's under oath. They are under oath that they cannot. It's like doctor-patient confidentiality.
Relationship, yeah.
I do insurance as well. So even in my business, I cannot talk about people because I have everybody's data from their medical to their bank details. I cannot talk to their husband or their wife. But if you go to anybody, of course, they'll spill beans. They'll talk because people like gossiping. They're like, oh my God, did you hear Lydia? This is what's happening. She's always there telling people that she's this, but she's not like that. So if you get supportive, professional network, if you're going through anything, do not sit there by yourself. If your children are going through something, this is the time to find help. If you don't seek help now, trust me, you will regret it when it's too late. Seek help. Don't seek help with your neighbors or your friends. Seek help with supportive professional network. Somebody like Angela, she's qualified, she knows what to do, she can steer you to the right direction. If you call me, if you WhatsApp me, I cannot help you because I don't have the professional team, but I have the ears to listen, and probably I'll direct you to the same to a professional as well to help you. Do not confide, because this also will kill the person if you confide in the wrong person and they start spreading your name and your children's name outside. So please, guys out there, supportive professional networks, there are so many of them out there. Find them and talk to them. Do not leave it until it's too late, because one thing you have to remember, their voice outside with the teenagers, their voice outside is stronger and powerful than the voice in the house. The voice that will tell them you're beautiful outside is powerful, or we love you, or with this is powerful out there than in the house. So make sure you seek help, and seek help when you first see something. Seek help then. Don't leave it and say, oh, they're teenagers, they're this. No, seek help immediately. So thank you very much for that. And also somebody asked a question, but I'll come to that later. But I want us to talk about another points which we had down. Protect. It's about protecting your children in public, because I've realized, I see sometimes, especially with schools, because I work in schools. Oh my God, I wear so many hats. Yeah. And one thing that really, because when I go to school, I go to different schools. So I don't really make friends with teachers. I just go to that school, do my business, because I teach a culture. I finish, tomorrow I'm in another school. But one thing I realized, in almost every school I went to, I was looking at these teachers and thinking, whoa, in staff room, they'll say something about a child and they'll talk about their parents. And I always came home and told my children, please don't let these teachers talk negative things about me in the staff room, because that child did not do the homework. They'll come and say, oh, this child this and this child this, and then I'll see them calling parents, and I'll see parents shouting at their children. The child is crying, saying, Mommy, I didn't say that. And it's not always the teacher is right or your child is right. But all I always tell parents is support your child in the presence of those teachers. But when you come home, deal with that child. Deal with that child in the closed environment. But don't embarrass your child in front of people, because then your child will be like, even when your child is telling the truth now, the child will never tell the truth, because the child will just be my mom or my dad. They don't trust me. So what would you say in regards to that?
How I would address that, and I have been in an exact situation, and what I advise parents is, when, for example, you've been called for something wrong that your young person has done, go there, listen, right? Our job, especially as parents, is to listen.
Yes.
And then say, I want to hear what you're saying, Miss Smith. And then say, I want to hear what my D is saying, right? So I have those two. And then how I dealt with it was, obviously, I was not there, so I cannot make a decision. So what I will do, I will, now that I have had both sides of the story, I will come and speak to you alone, and I will go and speak to my daughter alone. And then I will process that information and I will tell you exactly what I think. Do you see what has happened there?
Yeah.
What has happened there is you have listened. You have been respectful to the teacher. You have been
And to the child.
respectful to the child.
Mhm.
You have not made any judgment.
Mhm.
And what does that tell your child?
Yeah.
You trust them.
Yes.
And you're also saying that to the teacher, I'm not a soft, I'm not just one of those ones. You tell me things about my black girl and I jump because you said so, right? And then I went back home, and this is something that we do. It's almost what we call restorative practice, right? So I go and speak with my daughter, and sometimes she'll tell me the truth. She'll tell me the whole thing. Sometimes they conceal some of the truth, yeah. And then I'll hear the other side, and then I'm very big on showing kindness and forgiveness, right? Because I believe from that point, from that, when you treat people as human and as capable of growing, they rise up to that. And I have seen, I'm telling you, Lydia, I've worked with even gangsters, and sometimes because I'm small, they fear that something is going to happen, so there is backup for me and all that.
Yeah.
But when you are relating on a human to human basis, no one can hurt you. No one can hurt you. So anyway, in this situation, trust your young person. Yeah. Don't embarrass them. Don't embarrass, but also don't jump to say they haven't done it. Yes, because exactly. You don't know. Because you don't know. And some of these things you actually find out the kid did it. Yes. But then you listen to the process and what happened and all that. And it's from listening, then you can correct. Why? Because first you have connected with them, and then you correct them. And then what happened was, when you go back to school, you say, yeah, I've gone to the bottom of it, and I think this actually happened. So there is, for example, there's detention. And then that's when I speak to daughter and say to her, this is what it says. These are the school rules. And if this happens, you get detention. So what's happening is you are just receiving the consequences. You're not being singled out. You're receiving the consequences of your actions. Because there's the law of sowing and reaping. Yeah. So you're not hiding them, but you're also not ostracizing them. But then there are other times where the teacher has got it wrong. Yep. And I go, and my daughter says, oh, mommy, you need to go and speak with them and all that. I say, you speak with them, and if they will not understand, I will come and speak to them. And then I speak to the teacher, and I said to them, I believe this was wrong for this reason, this policy and all that, and I don't think you are kind. You did not address my daughter as this, as that, and I can tell you, I remember one time when my daughter was younger, and they used to have this show and tell, and she said that she should just come from holiday, and she told them where she had been and all that. And the teacher said, almost from my daughter's how she told me, like almost disgusted, oh, you are you saying you've been to Costa Rica? I don't believe you. So, so that really made my daughter doubt herself, So she came and told me, because I always encourage telling me what's happening, because she knows I'm supportive of her. So this is what I did. I said, I'm going to speak to Miss and find out why she would say that, even ask other kids to support, to be supportive of her. Like she said, oh, do you believe that? Asking the whole class. And obviously, as you can imagine, maybe my daughter is one of the minority groups in the class. So I asked her why she did that. And she said, oh, I was only joking. I said to her, right, I don't think that was a good joke. As you can see, you minimized my daughter's experience. It was not important. Everyone else was made to feel important for their own things. But this one, what you did is you almost dehumanized. And I said to her, that's how young people lose self-esteem, because you dehumanize them. And then, you know what I did? I asked the daughter to go to class and everything. And I said to the teacher, and I said to her, I'm going to tell you this in the presence of the head teacher and yourself, so that you don't say I said something that I didn't say. I said to her, if I put dog poo in your sandwich for lunch, and then I came and told you I was only joking, how would you feel? She was like, that's disgusting. I said, yes. Exactly. That's disgusting what you did to my daughter. What did you put in her? You put doubt. Yeah, you put that thing of almost lack of self-respect. And that is exactly what you did. And she was like, the head teacher said, I had never thought of it like that. I think we need to rethink how we do some of these things. And I said, yes. And it was never taken any further. And that was my intention, for a lesson to be learned. Yes. So this when I talk about how to deal with situations, we need to be very wise. Because again, we have to remember, I had to remember again, that is the school my daughter will be going to every day. Yes. So you can't go and abuse the teachers. Yes. And expect them to be very helpful to your daughter. They won't. You have to, there's strategy that you have to deal with, because even here, someone said, somebody said, reasoning with them through conversation go a long way. It takes patience and bravery, which is true. Yes. Yes. And somebody also spoke about the children. Somebody said, a lot of parents always take sides with their children, which I think, let me read exactly what they say. They say most parents tend to side with their children, even if they know the child is on the wrong. So if you're taking side with your child, and if you don't know, it's a different story. Like when you go to school and the child will say, but mommy, I didn't do it, daddy, I didn't do it, which they tend to do all the time, even though they've done it. That's true. That is different. If you don't know, then there's how you deal with it. Because personally, I have a daughter who is, she reminds me of me without wisdom. That's what I always say. She reminds me of me without wisdom, because she just say it the way it is. But I'll think about it first, or I'll pray for wisdom. God, please help me. How do I deal with this? But she doesn't. So because of what she did, and she wrote a letter to the principal, and she said, I've CC my parents, CC the principal, CC the office, she CC everybody. So of course that brought problems. So I was called in school. And since then, I just found a pattern on every time they're calling me, she did, every time. And then I went back to the first time they called me, what happened? And I realized it's when she wrote to the principal, they were not happy that this little child can actually do that. So they were not happy for what she did. Yeah. So every time they'll call me, she did. And I realized most of the time it wasn't true. It's just because they wanted to bring her down. They wanted to bring her confidence down, that how dare you write to principal and lecture a principal or lecture this. So they wanted to bring her down. So when I realized that was the case, I knew how to handle it. I never shout at my child in front of teachers, because I have to respect her. Yes. I have to respect the teachers as well, not to show them that I'm supporting my child in front of them. Yes.
But when I come home, the way I'll deal with that child, if she goes back to school and tell the teachers, that's how I dealt with her, the teachers will be like, but in front of her, she was an angel. She spoke to you like the angel that you are. So I had to make her realize that what you've done is wrong. But I cannot punish her in front of the teachers.
Absolutely.
I never do that with any of my kids. So the teachers will be thinking I'm supporting her, and she'll be thinking I'm supporting the teachers. But everybody in a private space.
They know the truth.
Everybody in a private space. And I know somebody also said that, what about, let us say you are picking your child from a class and the teacher says negative, i.e. behavior, a negative behavior about your child in front of the child. What can you do in this case? I think it's the same thing. In this country, they always say negative things in front of your child anyway. I don't think they always hide it. They always say, excuse me, miss, your child today in front of you. So how do you deal with that? I think you've answered that question already.
Absolutely. But what I can say, again, just to reiterate what we have said, is discourage someone just, almost vomiting. For me, it's like verbal vomiting about your child.
Mm-hmm.
What you can say is, can we talk about it?
Can I speak to you, Miss Olette?
Yeah. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Can we talk about it on the side, right? Because the thing with kids, first of all, as soon as you say that, kids can react in different ways. There's the anxiety and the fear of knowing that they've done something wrong. So when you're walking with them, they're wondering, what is mom or dad going to do? So you don't want to subject your young person to that. They don't need that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why we must be brave.
Yeah.
We must be brave to interject and say, can you tell me that in private, please? Right?
Yeah.
And then once you've been told, then you can ask your child, this is what I heard, this is what has been told, what is your version of it? Yeah, especially those who accost you at on the gates. Those ones, if you've been called to school and then there's the three of you, your young person and the teacher, then that's a different forum, because then you can address it in the way I said earlier. You ask for this side, and then you tell them, you will make a decision after you've spoken to them separately. But those ones that accost you at the gate and start vomiting, you say to them, no, you have to be brave and say, oh, excuse me, can you tell me this? Because there could even be other kids hearing,
listening.
And then what happens?
And other parents listening as well, and they start gossiping about your child.
Absolutely. And then what happens? The embarrassment, the shame, the guilt. Those are some of the feelings that really, really put many kids down. They feel they're not enough. They can't do anything good. They can't, because the place that they are being told these things is not safe.
Yeah.
We are not, you parents, don't think we are propagating that we never tell our children off. What we are saying is, you don't tell them off at the rooftop. You tell them off in a secret place. And why I call it a secret place is, it's almost a holy place. We are not here to cut each other. We are here to build each other. So tell me exactly what happened. And that's when you start to hear things that kids have done. Things that you sometimes don't want to hear, but because they feel safe,
they have to tell you.
You probably, as you hear them, you're shuddering. You're thinking, this cannot be my kid, right? Or sometimes you're thinking, who raised you, right? But because they know it's a safe place.
Yeah, they'll say
they know it's in fact, I don't do that with my daughter because we've never needed to do it. But what I have have also advised other parents who maybe didn't have a good relationship with their kids and they're beginning to have a good relationship, is to decide this is a safe place. This is a sacred place. This place, we can talk about anything and no one is guilty of anything. That is when you hear, you hear their dreams, you hear their, you hear their madness, you hear their, you hear some of the corrupt way of thinking. Why? Because they feel safe, right? And it's safe. And if we don't do this, what's going to happen? They will go and tell someone else out there.
You will give them a bad advice.
Or give them or someone who will say to them, don't worry, come, I'll buy you something, and then you do this for me.
Yeah. And the other thing as well, I know somebody said that parents tend to take sides, and that is now the beginning of the downfall. If you're a parent and you know that your child is wrong and you take sides with your child, now that is the beginning of the downfall. That totally. And somebody said yes, and the parents know it's true. Their child is in a group, their child is in a gang, their child is in a group, and they keep on supporting their child. That is wrong, because let me tell you, that child will come back and they will come back and accuse you that it's because of you they are the way they are.
Absolutely.
When my elder daughter was 7, she was only 7, and every time we did shopping, I used to put sweets in the shopping list because she's my first child. Come on, how much is sweets? But the dad was so much against it. He used to say, why do you keep on buying sweets for this child? I said, because she likes it. She eats sweets. What's wrong with you? So I'll buy sweets. One day when she had her teeth rotten, and we went to the dentist. Do you know what this girl told me? She was only 7 years old. She turned around when the dentist said, she told me, Mommy, it's your fault because you're the one who buys me sweets. I'll never forget that day. The dad just told me, I rest my case. I said, so this girl is only 7. If I didn't buy sweets for her, she was crying, oh, Mommy, you went shopping and you didn't get sweets. And I feel so bad I went buy sweets. And then now you're accusing me. It's because they know that you should know better.
Absolutely.
You are the parent and you should know better. You should direct them. You should teach them. You should train them. So if you just know that your child is doing something wrong and you're always covering their back, the day they'll stab somebody to death, the day they'll end up in prison, you will blame yourself as a parent. So if you know that your child is always doing something wrong, deal with it. But if you cannot deal with it because you don't know how, because we're human. Sometimes we don't know how to deal with things, and it's okay. If you don't know how to deal with it, that is when we say, go to a supportive, professional network, and they will help you of how to deal with that issue that you don't know how to deal with. Do not support your children if you know they're in a gang, you know they're in bad groups, you know they're doing something bad out there, because they'll end up hurting someone or hurting you. So please, parents, that is a no-go.
Okay? Yeah, and it's okay. And then do you know what? Young people, the one thing we constantly find with young people in research and even our work is that when you put firm and fair boundaries, because they know where they stand, they actually really like that. They like structure.
Yes.
Yeah. They might look like, oh, I'm all independent and everything. But within them, they like that structure.
Yeah.
They like those boundaries. They like those, they want you to be fair, and especially when they're teenagers, because you can discuss with them these things. They know when you're being fair. Yeah. They know when you're being firm. And that is the way. Don't ever support your young person when they're doing wrong. Say to them, I don't support this. Of course, I cannot hold you. I cannot hold you with a rope and stop you. But I know, and this is something I say, I know deep within you that you're capable of being a better person than this what you're being.
Yeah.
And again, what you're doing at that point is showing them that you support them, but also you're planting that seed that they may discover or rediscover who they truly are. Because no kid is a bad kid.
No,
No kid
no
is a
kid
bad
is a bad
kid.
kid. No kid is born a bad kid.
No kid is a bad kid.
Yeah.
No. Hmm.
And the other thing as well that we were talking about is they do what you do, not what you tell them. Because I know parents always say, do what I do. Nah, 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 nah. Children don't, that's not what happens. They do what you do. That is why, especially with our African parents, we were brought up probably shouting with too much shouting, or even if you're brought up in a domestic violence, it's a circle.
It's a
You see
cycle.
the man doing the same thing, or the woman ending up in an abusive relationship, because this is what happened in our background. This is what happened in our society or our community. This is what happened within our space when I was brought up. So because they do what you do. So even if a parent, let's say for instance, a dad comes home and beats the mom and then tell the child, but when you get married, don't beat your wife, the child will know, hear that. The child will only do what you do. So they do what we do, not what we tell them. So parents, this is another thing that lets us down as parents, is when we say things, we say this, but we do this. So it's just being hypocritical because you say this and you're doing this. So let's talk about that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
In psychology, we have that theory, we call it the theory of modeling. And modeling, what it is that kids copy what you do, right? Kids will live the life that you live. Words may be powerful, but when it comes to action, really, you know that adage that says actions speak better, louder than words? That is so. I mean, there was an experiment that was done, and after that, many experiments have been done. And what these kids observed their teacher just beating a doll. So the teacher would come and then just beat the doll. After a day, do you know what the kids did? When they got in, they just beat the doll. You don't even know why you're beating the doll. It was an experiment. And that's what happens. They observe, even for example, if I say to you, Lydia, look, can you touch your nose?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when I'm doing this, this works. So with teenagers, I said to them, go on, touch your nose.
And they go straight and touch.
Yeah, touch your nose. Go on. I said, touch your nose, and they're saying,
Before they realize that's not a nose.
No, even before they realize it's not a nose, they're doing it. They're doing it. And they're like, oh, and they say the words, oh, effing and whatever. Yeah, because observing, because what happens is observing, what you're observing is much more powerful than what even you hear. Right? And also when you observe, when you observe, there's a lot of, it's like a lot of your nerves come to life. When you see an image, they say, and again, think about the thing that says a word, a photo speaks. It tells
so many words. Yeah, it tells 1,000 words, 1,000 words.
Yes, that is
a picture, yeah.
So we need to be models. One of the things I say as well, if you want to be an influencer to your young person, because we are supposed to be influencers.
The role models, yes.
When we say it's modeling, when we call role model, it's real, it's modeling. Even before I talk about 3 M's of being an effective influencer. And I talk about modeling, mentoring, and then motivating. Modeling comes first. Why? Because you cannot be asking your teenager to wash and be clean and you don't do it. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, it just doesn't. We need to be models. We need that's the first thing we need to do. That's why sometimes we fail, because we we are telling them to do what we say and not do what we are doing. And like you said about, for example, let's talk about domestic abuse, right? The kids see that you're being mistreated by someone, or the person's not being nice to you and all that. And guess what happens? Even though they don't like it, yeah, because they don't, what happens is, our research shows us those kids, unfortunately, end up with people who abuse them, or they become abusers, right? So you're repeating the cycle again, and maybe some of us who have been in abusive relationships, we probably had said, this is not going to happen to me. But then, because those things are so deep-rooted in your subconscious, you even meet with someone and you think they're endearing, but they turn out to be the thing. It's like what you say, what Job said, the thing I feared most has come to me.
Has come to me, yeah.
Has come to me. See? Because that's what's happening. That's what's regurgitating in you. That's what you know. So we need to be conscious. Yeah, we need to be conscious parents. I mean, we can't be perfect, but our job is to minimize the trauma, the trouble that we pass on to the next generation. And this can only come by us educating ourselves. None of us was born when we got our kids. You don't know how your kid is going. You're walking this journey with them on a daily basis. You don't know. But the only thing we can do is arm ourselves with knowledge and wisdom that is going to help guide them and guard them in their purpose, right? Our job is to support them in their purpose. Our job is to guide, guard, and love them as they follow their God-given purpose, because each one of them has it. And that's why, bless us, especially, and it's not just us African, of African descent. I know many of my white friends who, for example, one of them was a dentist, but deep down in his heart, he always wanted to be a comedian. So, but because this was what he was made to follow, he got to a point he decided, wait a minute, I have this one life to live, and I wish my parents had just allowed me to do this. I would have been my mentor, because the reason he actually left, he started talking about the leaving dentistry, is his mental health was getting affected. But he knew he always wanted to be
something else.
He wanted to be a comedian. But you don't tell doctors' kids that your kid wants to be a comedian. They laugh at it, you know. But I have another friend who again, the parents are doctors in Israel. He's an actor. And that's what he always wanted to do. And the reason he finally left, he was even in medical school, he left the country, was because he said, I can't take this anymore. He was on the verge of suicide. On the verge. And that's why, as much as we want our kids to conform, especially as Africa, like what's the comedian Gina, she says, if you're not a doctor, if you're not an engineer,
or a lawyer,
if you're not a lawyer,
you're a failure. You are a failure to the community.
Yeah, you're a disgrace to the community. No, let us encourage them to take on that God-given purpose. If your kid
that was actually a different topic. You're diverting from the one.
I'm sorry.
I knew you are so passionate about these things. So when I asked you, you'd be like, ooh.
Right, let's
but that was totally, this one was just, you are your child's role model. So you talked about 3 aims. And first one was modeling, and then the other one was mentorship and motivation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So sorry, I divert when I start talking about
I know,
these
I
things.
know. I know. So what I want to tell parents, and it's so funny because every time we talk about these points, we're actually saying this is the worst points with parents. This is the worst points with us. This is the worst points with us because we're all parents. But also this one, and somebody just said, you well put it, Angela. Hurt people do hurt others, which is true because it's a circle, because it's what they see, is what they copy into their subconscious. And what I wanted to say as well with that is the things I know that we still have to live our lives, especially for single parents out there, whether it's a woman or it's a man, and you want to bring probably your girlfriend, or you want to bring your boyfriend. You have to be very careful. Stop bringing these people in your house, because if you're bringing these people in your house and you have children, they will see what you do. They'll not do what you say. They'll do exactly what you're doing. Okay, today mommy brought Tom. Tomorrow mommy brought what's his name? Tom, Dick, and Harry. The next day, Opio. The next day, Karanja. The next day, who? You understand? Every time. And you have girls. Yeah. Even if you have boys, you have girls, you have boys. Children see what the mom or the dad is doing every time. Tomorrow is this girl. I'm not saying don't have relationships. Of course, you have relationships, but you have to be careful around your children, who you bring around your children, especially if you have, I'm saying again, if you have girls. If you have girls, and especially bringing different men in your house, you don't even know what these men can do to your children. And because you're so clouded with this thing called love, where you think, oh, this man is good. Because I had one lady called me, and she told me she met, her friend called her and said, oh, come and meet my guy. I met a very nice guy and everything. But I don't know, sometimes God gives you this discerning spirit. She looked one look at this man and she told this girl, and I even don't know how she did it, because I don't even think I'll have the guts to say something like that. And she told this girl, I'm begging you, don't bring this man near your daughter. Because what she said is, when she went to that house, she saw how the man looked at that girl. And straight away, something wasn't nice in her spirit. Something didn't settle well in her spirit. And she told her friend. Her friend stopped talking to her, of course, thinking, oh, she's jealous and blah, blah, blah. Like we all think, like, look, you have a man. You don't want me to have a man. Believe me, this man, he wasn't even 1 year later, raped this woman's child. Raped her so bad, and now this girl hates her mom, because you're thinking you are meant to protect me. And you brought somebody who came to the house and hurt me. So we have to be very careful, especially as single parents, whether you're a man or a woman. You have to be careful who you're bringing to your children, who you're introducing your children to. If you're not sure this is the one, you cannot bring Mary today, tomorrow take Anne, tomorrow take Lydia, tomorrow take Angela. What are you doing to your children's mental health, mental state? Do you understand? And also things like drinking. Okay, I'm not saying don't drink. If that's what brings happiness, hiyo ndio inakuleta raha. They say in Swahili, starehe ya mamba na ya punda ni tofauti. So if that's what you like, fine, that's what you like. It has nothing to do with me. But you come home every day, you're drunk, you're always drinking in front of your children, and what are you teaching them? It's like, okay, drinking is okay, and getting drunk and misbehaving. Drinking is fine. Even the Bible says drinking is fine. It's just drunkenness that is a sin. So you're drunk in front of your children. You're misbehaving every time you're drunk in front of your children. It's your children, you're vomiting. Your children are wiping you. They're washing you. They're carrying mommy to bed or daddy to bed. What are you doing to your children? Do you understand? So it's the things that we do as parents. And then maybe later you've reformed. Let's say later you've reformed. And then you see your child doing exactly what you are doing. And then you're saying, oh my God, look at this child. You're cursing the child, but yet you caused that. So children always see what we do. So guys, just be careful what you do. Be careful what you do in front of your children. You can do whatever you want to do, but outside, very far away from your children. Those children are innocent. Let them play like that. Okay, so that is something that I know that a lot of parents, we struggle with. We struggle because they're thinking, this is my house, and it's my house and it's my rules. But don't forget, God gave you those children. It's not your house. It's their house too.
Absolutely.
And it's their safe haven. Your house needs to be a home for your children. It has to be a safe haven for them. But if you don't make it a safe haven, they will find a safe haven outside. And that's it. When they start joining the gangs, when they start doing all these bad things outside, because now safe haven for them is not this house anymore.
Absolutely.
It's outside. So we have to be very careful with that. And another thing that I know parents, we struggle a lot. Angela, you love this one. Don't compare your children with either their siblings or any other child out there. And one thing I'll tell you is I used to have a neighbor, and I hope she doesn't hear this because she'll not talk about her. So forgive me. But I will not call her name. It's only her that will know. So she always used to say about her child, why don't you become a so and so? But the funny thing is, the child that she was comparing her daughter with was actually smoking weed. And her daughter was not smoking weed. So her daughter kept on telling me, Auntie, look at mom, she's always comparing me with so-and-so, and so-and-so is even smoking weed, and I'm not smoking weed. So what if I start smoking weed? What is she gonna say? So we should stop comparing our children with either the siblings or any other child out there. So please, Angela, because you're the expert, enlighten us in this one.
just every blade of grass is different. I'm sure you know that poem.
Yes.
Every blade of grass is different. So why would you insist that a red rose becomes a white rose? It's beautiful just by being, white. It's beautiful just by being, red. Another thing is, think about the sun and the moon. They all have, the moon cannot say, oh, the sun is, I want to be like the sun. Then who would do the job of the moon? That's why I said about recognizing your child is a life, a God-given life that has its own purpose. And our job is not to try and make it become like something else. But our job is to guide, like I said, you just guide and guard, and protect. When you talk about that comparing, as I said to you, the kids, when they say, oh, I'd like to be like so and so, and I'm thinking, I don't think if you knew everything about so and so, you wouldn't want to be like that. So as parents, we need to be, and then what happens is every time you compare, you make your young person feel they're not enough.
Yeah.
And that, do you know, that is the job of advertising. The advertising psychology is such that they make you feel not enough so that you reach for the next thing. You keep reaching, and it's like mirage because you will never get to there. So you're always going. So when you compare your child with another person, including their own siblings, you're putting your child at a mental state of unrest because as much as, because first of all, they don't feel nice, and then they might want to aspire to get to who they think that other person is. And who is that other person? That you haven't told them why you're comparing. You haven't. If you want your child to get good grades, say to them, I would like you to shift from C to B because I know you're capable.
Yeah.
Don't say to them, oh, sometimes we don't even tell them straight that I want you to be like this. Sometimes we are passive aggressive and say, Lydia's kids, they get A's and B's. Mine here is just a waste of time. You see? So what have you made? You know, what we've done in that sentence, what you've done, you crush the spirit. Again, let's go back to what we talked about, things that we say. Are you being a conduit of life or a constrictor of life? It's okay for us to want our young people to improve, but it's not okay to compare them with another person. That other person has their own set of fingerprints, which are completely different from yours. Why would you, if you want someone to be, that's what clones are. Your child is not a clone. Your child is a special, single person that was put on this world through you, through me, for a special purpose.
Yes.
And only they know, even we as parents don't know what their purpose is, because the life that gave them life is what knows their purpose.
Yeah.
And our job is to be what we call protective factors.
Yes.
Right? Prop them. Our job is to prop them, prop them as they go. Think about the, I don't know if you've ever grown tomatoes, right? When a tomato plant is growing, all you do is prop it, put something, so that it goes up. So that's what our job is. Comparing is a very crushing. You crush someone's spirit, because you're telling them you are not good enough. You are not good enough. You are not good enough. And what I'm saying today, it's not that we don't want our young people to aspire. I know I've said to my daughter, I said to her, I know you're capable of getting an A here. Not because Joyce got an A, and not because this person got an A, but because I know you are capable.
Yes.
You are capable. And those are some of the words. If you want them to improve, show them what they're capable. Don't try and compare them with other people. And like you said, inside of them, when you compare them and they're thinking, wait a minute, this person takes drugs, this kid, when, for example, a mother was comparing a kid that was really doing very well.
Yeah.
And this one, this particular one is not very academically driven, but she is such a fantastic athlete, right? Fantastic athlete. So she spends a lot of time doing her athletics stuff, but a particular one, I won't mention it, but a particular athletic game. So this one was comparing her with that other person. What she didn't know and what she doesn't know, and obviously we can't tell her for confidentiality reasons, is that this young person who is doing very well, she has a boyfriend who, at the age of 15, they're having sex.
And she's comparing her own child, who is so innocent, still innocent.
Yes. So those are some of the things you need, because we don't know everything about someone. So don't, even you could be calling it up to yourself when you say such things. How many, Lydia, do you know how many kids of judges, of bishops are in prisons?
Yeah.
So many. So many. So many. Right? So we need to be careful about comparing. Yeah. Because we don't know the details. And again, our job is to help the young person identify their purpose, and we support them.
And also by comparing as well, especially with siblings, you make them start resenting each other. So they're resenting each other as siblings, hating each other, but you are the cause of that. And then
Absolutely.
you wonder, why is it that you people don't love each other? Oh, my children, they're always fighting for it. But you've caused it because you've always compared Lydia and Angela every
Yeah.
time. Oh, but Angela is better than you. Angela is this. So Lydia starts resenting Angela for nothing. And then Angela too starts feeling bad for Lydia because she doesn't want to be compared, but she doesn't know how to tell her parents. So it's just to say that, I just wanted to read something as well. Just going back, I think we're going back a little bit. Somebody says, so after how long should single moms introduce Mr. New to the family? I think that is when we're talking about singleness. Do you want to answer that, please?
Yeah, I can say it's not about months or years. It's, again, use your discerning spirit. Use other people to come, and use your girlfriends. I'll tell a story. When I was, my daughter's dad and I separated, divorced when she was 2 years old. And then after about 5 years is when I got into a different relationship. And for me, and all that time, I was meeting people. You meet people and you think, is this the right person? And you're like, no. So, and then there was a time I was dating, and then you start meeting people and you're thinking, when is the right time? When is the and my strategy, I'm very fortunate because I have a group of girls, a group of ladies who been very supportive, who are very supportive in my journey through divorce and through my singleness. And they were very supportive, and I cannot say how grateful I am to have that. But I also, like what we are talking about, being in a supportive group, I went for counseling. I'm not a person to shy from support because I know what support can make you be. Without support, you can crumble and fall, right? So I went for counseling. I had people, some professionals supporting me and all that. But when I started dating, I met people, and I would tell my girlfriends, I'm going to see this person. Yeah. And I'll give them the numbers just so you know where I am, right? In case of anything. And those are stories for another forum. But I met the person, the person I am with now. I met him, and then first of all, in just one of my dates, I asked one of my girlfriends to come. He didn't know that she was coming. She just came.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to check is the kind of person he is. For example, when there's something is thrown at you, what and
how do you handle it?
How do you handle it?
Yeah.
Can you love my friends from just being my friends? Do you have to make yourself up and look something different when you know my friends are coming? And that's what, and I did it again and again and again, a couple of times. And I asked my girlfriends, I said to them, this person, there's something about him that's resonating with me, but I also need to know what you guys think. Knowing me, what do you think? And only after I think it was about my fourth girlfriend, say, we think he can cut he can just cut it, but we still have lot of time to go. That's when I thought, maybe then we can start having a relationship. I still didn't take him home. My daughter didn't see him until about the 7th month, and that is about the 6th month when I thought, maybe something can happen. I started saying to her, there's this person and all that. What do you feel? Would you like to? And because she was involved in my process of, I used to have this dream of the person I would like to have, and it was a faceless person. This person needs to be like this person. Do you know what my daughter did? She got the thing for me. She said, Mommy, is he this? Is he this? Is he this? And I said, yeah, Obviously, I don't know him 100%, but I think he is. And then that's when, for me, that's when I felt comfortable to bring him and introduce him to my daughter. And that was about 7 months for me.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm not saying that everyone has to do what I did, but I think it takes a lot of discerning.
yeah.
It takes a lot of you need to be sure. Of course, you can't completely say
You're sure, even after
yeah,
1 year.
yeah, because but you need, especially us who have girls, we need to be extremely careful because we are setting a standard.
Yep.
We are setting a standard for
Mhm.
our young people. We are setting a standard for the girls. And then, of course, when he came, that's something we had talked with him about. You're not, my daughter knew her dad, so you're not coming to be the dad. Don't even, you have to establish your own relationship with you're coming into a unit. So it's a process. And
Yeah.
I would say make it 100% safe and comfortable
For
your
your
young person,
children.
for your
Yes.
children.
Yeah.
100%, because your first, and that's why we called Lydia when we spoke about this, the name of this this topic today is honoring your parenting, your most noble role. It's a
As a
leadership
parent.
role.
Yeah.
It's honoring your leadership role. Behave like a leader, a noble, and that's what parenting is about. So it's about, we need to see ourselves as leaders. The decisions we are making. When you, Lydia, I'm sure maybe when you get people into your company, you do proper consideration. You do checks.
Checklists.
You do checks.
Everything.
You do references. You do why? That's as parents, we need to be prepared to do that.
Especially if you're going to introduce them to your children. I mean, thorough check of everything. I know somebody said that guys are good at playing the angel when tuning a girl. And in fact, it's so funny because the person saying it is actually a man. So he knows their game really well.
He knows the game.
And it's, I know, yes, but the thing is, we can never be 100% because even sometimes you get married after 5 years, after 3 years, after 10 years, you're divorcing. So, but nobody enters a relationship thinking, oh, I'm going to divorce tomorrow. You enter a relationship thinking it's going to last. So it's the one that you think with discerning, like just like you rightfully said, he has to be discern. They have to be a discernment spirit there. You have to discern. You have to ask questions. You have to investigate. Before you introduce them to your children. Otherwise, you can have them out there if you want to, but when introducing them to your children, because remember, that's their safe haven. And if anything happened to them, they will blame you. They will blame you, even though it wasn't your fault, but they'll think like, it's you, you're supposed to protect me. Yes. So why did you bring somebody in my house who molested me, who abused me, who did this to me? Even if that person will come and abuse you as their mom or their dad, they'll still blame you because they'll say, you brought somebody who abused you or abused you as my mom or as my dad. You understand? Yeah. So they'll definitely, somebody say, okay, I just want to read what people say, but before I read that, I just want us to finish on this topic here. Yeah. But we still have because we don't really have enough time. And I think we're going to continue with this topic next week because the topic about parents to me is the most important thing because it's those children that come out tomorrow to be the artists, the engineers, the presidents, the models, the singers, the leaders, the teachers, those children that we are talking about today, how we are talking to parents today, those are the children that they are going to be leaders tomorrow. And we want to see good leaders tomorrow. Those leaders can only be good leaders if we train and bring them up well. So this topic, we're still going to do it again next week because we still have loads and loads of points.
That's true.
So we're still going to talk about them. But before we finish, just talking about comparing children as well, I just wanted to say as well, treat them different and also know their weakness and their strength. You need to know your child's weakness and your child's strength, because if you don't know their weakness and their strength and you keep on pushing them on something that they can't do, it's like somebody said that a fish cannot land. You take a fish out of the water and you expect it to swim in the dry land. And if it can't do that, you get frustrated. It's the same thing with our children. You need to know your children's strength and your children's weaknesses. And then we have to treat our children differently, every single one of them, as a unique creation of God.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'll leave our topic there, all our points that we had. We had so many points, almost 12, 13 points. We've only got 7. So we still have a lot and a lot to talk about. And because this topic is very important, because I see somebody here, so I'll just read what people have said. Somebody said, this is a nice topic, Lydia and Angela. Be blessed abundantly. I feel greatly inspired as a future parent. I have noticed quite a number of things which I will use to enlighten other aspiring parents as well. And then to the parents, we have a Kenyan Swahili proverb that says, udongo upatilize ugali maji. Okay.
Yes.
Udongo upatilize ugali maji. Yeah. So mold your children in such a way that when they live to remember you as a positive role model, guide and counsel them in a positive manner to avoid stigmatization.
Yes. Okay.
And then somebody says some children tend to be protective of the single mom or dad and may make it very difficult for one to get a partner, especially girls. I know that. I know that. I'm one of them. But I think with that one is when you involve them.
Yes.
When you involve your children, you have to involve them. You cannot just one day spring on them and say, you know what, I met a man. So you guys, you're going to meet this man. What? They'll be like, excuse me, what is that? But I think with that, yes, there are some children who are very protective, but you have to involve them.
Yeah, you have to involve them. And remember what I said to you, that as parents, especially single women and even single men, have a sort of your dream person. Share that with, remember when they come, they're not going to be your kids' dad or mom.
Yeah.
But you will be sharing, you'll be sharing a life together. So let even your kids challenge you about these things. Why would you want a man who is not financially independent? Write it down. Why do you want someone who does not like to travel? Write the things that you want down and share with them so that they can also challenge you when that person comes. Of course, you probably are not going to get everything, but again, that is life. But when you involve them, as you said, Lydia, it makes the process much easier because it's acceptable. This person is acceptable.
Yeah.
Right?
And somebody also said, yes, our children are the next leaders. Yes, that's right. And when it also comes to the comparing, I know one of the ladies who was saying, there's this guy is very rich. He has nice cars, a nice house, very, very rich man. And this lady was saying, oh my God, I wish my son can be like this, so and so. And I said, do you know where this man gets his money from? Like, no. I said, so why would you want your son to be like him? And then she thought about it and she was like, oh my God. I say, always want your children to be who God created them to be.
Yes.
Let your children be who God ordained them, chose them to be. Not even who you want them to be, but who God chose them to be. Let your children be that. Yes. That is the only time when your children are what God created them to be, ordained them to be, chose them to be, want them to be. Don't compare your children with anybody. Yeah. And your children are the leaders of next. Yes, I'm going to say that. So guys, we're almost done. Please share before we finish. Please share and share and share. I actually told somebody to share. They said they're going to charge me for that. That is so funny. Anyway, please guys, just share and share. And again, next week, we're here next week. I know somebody said that they were going to bed. And again, they said they can't because this topic. So they stayed until the end. So thank you very much. In fact, this person is always following me every time. Thank you so much, Joshua Olet. That's my uncle. So thank you very much. My uncle is my best best, best number one follower. He's always there on my programs. He was there yesterday on Saturday. Again, he's here today. So thank you very much, Uncle Joshua. And I'd like to say that we are here every Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is from 5 to 7. Sunday is from 6 to 8. Every Saturday and Sunday. So guys, and then Angela, you also tell people where to find you if they want to find you. But we are going to be here again next week because this topic of parents is not just going to end. We have to finish our points because we are helping parents out there. And at the same time, we are also helping ourselves because also when you ask questions, you're also helping us. And like I said, it's through a course that I went to almost how many years ago. And I learned, and what I learned, I actually put it into practice with my children. And that is why I'll tell you, my children turned out to be who they are right today because of what I heard almost 20 years ago, and I put it in practice. So it's always good to attend seminars. It's good to attend courses when people have it. Don't think that you know it all. Nobody knows it all. Because I'm even sure Angela, as much as she's a psychologist and she does counseling and everything, she still attends courses. Same as me, I still attend courses and I still attend seminars when people have. So guys, please share and share and share. And next week, we're here again, same time on Sunday, 6 to 8. We're here again with Angela. She's coming again to give us more insight because she is the professional in this and she's the expertise as well. And boy, Angela, thank you so much. You really, really, I mean, there were some words you were using. I was like, what? Well, I've never heard that. But thank you so much. You taught me personally. I don't know how many people out there, but you taught me personally so many things today. And I'll keep on working on them, even though my children are a little bit older, but it's never too late. Because as I teach them, they'll teach their children as well. So it's not just me teaching my children now, you teaching your daughter. Is your daughter will teach her children and her children will teach their children. By the time it's a generational thing, we have a community that is good. Do you understand?
And also, just before we finish, I want to say that when you connect with your young people the way you do, you begin to change, and even you start to change the way you work, the way you relate with other people, because these ideas are not just, these are relational ideas. The way you relate with your young person, these are relational ideas. And these are the same ideas that actually make your business progress.
Yes.
These are the same ideas that make you be at peace with your neighbors. And these are the same ideas, when you internalize them, that make you be at peace with yourself. And that is what, and actually, before, I'm going to put a link down there. I'm going to give you one of my free trainings for everyone that's listening. So you can come and join us and see, really become, when we talk about honoring your parenting role, you actually become a transformational parent. You become a game changer.
Yes.
And that's what we want.
Thank you so much, Angela. And somebody said before we go, thank you girls for the nice topic. This is a young mom who said that, thank you. And then we also have somebody who said this topic is very good for us WhatsApp dads. WhatsApp dads, that is nice. That is nice, Alois. That is, thank you so much. WhatsApp dads, and next week again, bring more of WhatsApp dads because we have more topic coming up about dads next week. And also moms and our teenagers. So thank you very much, Angela. And I'll see you again next week. And I'll see everybody else next week. So put your link out there. Put your link out there. And the free course, I want to join that. I will join that.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored, Lydia, for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
All right. God bless.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.